Do you have those failures in your life that kind of just sit there in the back of your head, really kind of stuck on how to move through? Let me tell you one about my failures and how I've had to learn this big, hard lesson about that. One of those lessons for me was this time in my corporate life where I was trying to move up into this next role. I was trying to figure out where I needed to go, but then trying to maneuver within the company and figure out exactly what that looked like, what the company called it, who did I need to know. But at the same time, I was also looking for the people within my company, my managers, people higher than me, HR, to really open me up and tell me where I needed to go. And I can't tell you how many times in life that I was outsourcing that accountability, that I'm the one that needs to create the change in my life, and waiting for others to do that. It happened in the Marine Corps. I was always kind of in a neutral standpoint. I would do what I needed to do, but I was really afraid to go all in. And I think that was something that kept showing up in my life from high school, probably all the way up until about maybe a good 2 to 3 years ago. So a good almost 20-year period here we're talking. And what I've learned when I've been working with dads is there's this question. What has the universe been trying to teach you that you fail to learn? And sometimes the test gets harder and you still fail the test and you remind the universe, not ready yet. But then the one moment you realize it. You realize that the universe has been trying to teach you, screaming at you for this one thing. Talking with a lot of men, there's one thing that kind of keeps coming up. There's these stories, these things that we see as failures that are holding us back. I know in my own story that not having friends in high school, being bullied, pushed, punched, kind of just became this universal truth of I need to hide so I don't get punched in the gut. But when you hide so you don't get punched in the gut, you never go all in on something. Because what if you do get punched in the gut? Now, not in the physical sense, when in the real world, but within the context of like that, you put yourself out there, you do something that's a little bit risky, and maybe it didn't go as well. And because you internalized it and related to that time you were physically punched in the gut, you're like, I should just not do that again. I can tell you early in my journey when I started kind of posting things on Facebook and starting my podcast, the voice inside my head would routinely come over to me and say, I told you not to do that. If you would just listen to me, I would have protected myself from that pain. But I didn't listen. I kept doing it. That voice, like, I keep telling you, listen to me. You don't have to put yourself out there. When you do, you keep getting hurt. Why do you keep doing that? Listen to me. Don't do it. But what I didn't know is that my ego was seasoned with that idea of protecting myself and limiting where I go. It didn't want me to go all in because it was conditioned with those early stories. But this is the point of this episode. Learning those hard lessons, accepting what you need to accept, and asking the question, what has the universe been teaching me that I have been failing to understand? And for me, I think it's pretty plain and simple. When I look back in my life, I failed to go all in. To go all in on an idea that I could do something that really made an impact. That I would become more of who I meant to be. Because when you live life below the radar, there's not a lot of juice that comes to surface for who you show up. You don't get excited about what's going on. All of these different things. So the question I want you to ask yourself today, what has the universe been trying to teach me that I continue to fail to learn? Within this is a great reframe, because once you learn to accept it, you learn that that stuff isn't holding you back. It's actually going to propel you forward because other people need to learn that lesson, and you can learn to take your mess and make it your message, which is what I've done with my 2 podcasts, my life, my speaking career, my coaching career. It's all based on my own hard lessons and learning how to reframe them so that other guys can get access to new thoughts, new frames of reference, so they can move forward and get some of the same excitedness of being a dad, a husband, a human being, and fully reach their full potential. And I'll be back with you guys again tomorrow.